President walking in or something?
Yeah.
All right.
You're standing.
Supervisor Reynolds.
Here.
And then
Mike
Chief?
stand, huh?
Yeah.
Supervisor Jeffrey Trout.
Here.
Supervisor Brownell. Supervisor Barnhart.
Here.
Supervisor Borst.
Here.
Supervisor Hayes. Supervisor Ferrara.
Here.
Supervisor Cronenwetter.
Here.
Supervisor Reinhardt.
Here.
Supervisor Partee. Here. Supervisor Heisen.
Here.
Supervisor Dontrout.
Here.
Supervisor Enslow. And Supervisor Shipley.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Please rise and pledge allegiance in the moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, please be seated. Next up, presentations. I don't think we have any presentations. Next up after that will be petitioners. No petitioners, but open privilege of the floor. Linda's right. You are free to come up. How you doing?
Good evening, and thank you, Chairman. It's nice to be here, and the board. Thank you. First of all, I am Linda Zwick, and I'm Vice President of the Canoga Fire Department. And I'd like to introduce our chief is with us, Nate Peckham, and also our president, Jim Rollison. We're here tonight as a proposal for a tax exemption for firefighters. Lately, it's been discussed and passed by the governor in other counties within the state. And in real simple terms, volunteer firefighters are dwindling in numbers. The older, well-trained firefighters, like us, I got 37 years, are getting to the point where it's getting difficult to perform the tasks that are needed to go into. We don't run into firefighter or to burning buildings anymore. We let all the kids do that. We're not getting a younger group to step up and join. And part of the issue is time commitment for training, which gets more expensive and more detailed each year. If towns have to go and pay firefighters, the cost would be astronomical. We need a tool to recruit and retain members. Many counties in New York State, as I mentioned, have recently supported bills presented by their senator to allow towns, school boards, villages, county, and fire districts the option for a 10% exemption on their assessment for firefighters. Not on the taxes, it's the assessment. But in order for Senator Pam Helming, who I've been in contact with for the last week, and the last was this morning, to go forward to create a bill, she needs a resolution from the Seneca County Legislature to support a bill that she wants to sponsor to give us that exemption. Recently, Monroe County was approved by the governor, and Senator Helming is currently working with Cayuga County, who has already got the approval from their county legislature to get a bill passed by the governor for them. There's 11 fire departments in Seneca County, and you wouldn't think there was because Seneca County is such a small county, but there's 11 fire departments. And their members are dedicated to the fire service and the community they support. There's many holidays, family functions, and middle-of-the-night calls that our volunteers selflessly leave their homes to help someone in need, even in the last 2 years during COVID. Any of you know that not once have any of our firefighters refused to go into a home, an accident scene because of COVID. People were safe in their homes trying to avoid the COVID, and we're out there, helping our community. By supporting the creation of a bill from Senator Helming's office, by passing a resolution from your legislature at the county level, this process will be able to go forward. Municipalities would not need to raise taxes or lose any money as the tax burden remains spread across the residents. In order to identify the true impact, you would need to identify all the volunteers and determine their property values and see what the reduced 10% assessment equates to. Your local assessors in each of your townships would be able to help you with that. I'm already working with our assessor, and he is telling me right now that we're pretty minimal to what it would be. But for tonight, on behalf of all volunteer firefighters in Seneca County, and I've reached out to our fire departments and let them know I was going to be here, I am asking the Seneca County Board of Supervisors to consider the adoption of a resolution to support a bill which Senator Pam Helming would need to write up to present to New York State Senate. She has not done it because it's home rule, and she wants to make sure she's not stepping on any tools or toes when I spoke to her today. So it has to come first that the county would like to see this. There's a narrow 7-week window of this session that she's in right now for her to write the bill. And just to let you know, even if the county approves it and says, okay, this is a great idea, this will give our towns an opportunity to go, it's still like with the marijuana law and some of the other things that came out, it would be an option for the towns, for the school districts, for the villages to have a local law if they choose so. So thank you for the opportunity to hear the proposal. I can be contacted at any time. I am meeting with the fire chiefs on the 23rd of March, all the fire chiefs in Seneca County. We're going to get together and we're going to see what we can do. We need help. Recruitment is key for us or we're going to disappear, and retention, and we really do need it. And I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Linda? Yes, Mr. Shipley.
Thank you, Chairman. Linda, I'm a life fire department member of Border City. I've been there a lot of years, and I don't go to fire calls anymore, but I'm on the rolls as an active member. I would support this 100%, because one thing I can tell you is, as you said, it's harder and harder to find and train firefighters. So just not out there, and God forbid that if we had to pay for firefighters using county taxes, our tax rates would go sky high. Same thing with the ambulance services. So I would support this 100%, but I'm just wondering if what kind of participation do you actually get in fire calls from your membership?
What do you mean, what kind of?
So if you have, let's say you have 75 firefighters.
Okay.
Of that,
We did.
yeah, but what percentage actually show up to attend fire calls and so on and so
In
forth?
our fire department, if I go by percentage and not numbers, about 50% of our people show up at a call. And that's what our percent, if you go by percentage and not numbers, because every department is different. Some will have 16 members, some have 22 members, some have, and Border City has quite a few. So, and they don't have as many show up. But if you go by percentage of the calls, and I can only speak for our fire department, and it's 40 to 50% show up. But it's the same people, and we're getting tired.
Time after time, sure.
And it's time after time after time. And the training is just, we take the same training as a paid firefighter. The same exact, and our heart is in this. I mean, this is, we live, breathe the fire service in our community, and we're out there every time something happens, we're there to help the community. Mutual aid. Anytime there's a call, we're listening to the other fire departments to see where we can jump in and help. And you know that, Bob, because you can hear it. So, and we also want to put in the proposal with Senator Helming that she makes this for life members who no longer run, but they've put in their time.
God bless them.
And this is something that I've already proposed.
Voting no now.
Oh, well, no, you can't do that. But anyway, this is what our proposal is. So please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll be working with the Senator's office for the next couple of weeks. Like I said, we have a narrow timeline for her to get it to the Senate.
Linda, can I ask you a question, please?
Sure.
This proposal that, assuming that this is going to go through, and obviously I support this, does the county have any say in how it's administered, or is this something we say we support it, then the state senator writes it up and we have zero say?
Oh, no, you do have say. When she writes something up, you can give recommendation as to what you'd like to see. What we would like to see, and what a lot of them is you have to be a firefighter, own property for 2 years. And it isn't like, oh, I'm going to be a firefighter, and all of a sudden you come in tomorrow and you get the 10% reduction. You're not. You need to have a 2-year investment. You also have to contact every year and show that you are an active member. So this isn't going to be, and the long term, the retired, not retired, but those who are life members. So you do have a say, and that's something that we can talk to. I've talked to Senator Helming about that.
And every department will be the same, so whether it's this department, they have the same criteria as every department in the county. It's not, It's not going to be ruled by every individual department doesn't get to set the rules for who qualifies.
The county would give the opportunity for the municipality to buy into it. So say Fayette buys into it and Seneca Falls doesn't want to. That's up to them. So Fayette would get the firefighters would get the assessment on the town taxes, where Seneca Falls wouldn't. They could also do, and at the county level, you could make the decision at that time, if the bill goes through, that you could, at the county level, you can give us the assessment on our property taxes also. And that would be awesome if we could get that exemption. I mean, the tough sell is going to be the school district, and we know that. But there's about 200 firefighters in Seneca County, and we're ready for a fight.
Actually, I don't think it will be much of a fight because you're talking a very minimal,
Very,
very minimal amount. I don't think.
Yeah, it's like a couple dollars a year more that cover, because it's going to be spread over. You're absolutely right. And compared to what it's going to cost, Jeff, for it's just, and you know, we're on our own, and we do pretty good mutual aid. We're pretty good. We share a lot and train. We train together a lot, so when we get to a bad call, we know how to work together.
I think, like Mike and Bob, I certainly would support it. I've had the opportunity to meet with 2 of our departments and kind of went through a visioning process for them of what they see over the next 5, 10, 15 years. And I think, and I know Don and I have had conversations with the Village of Waterloo, there's a dire need to get people there. And in our area, if it weren't for example, the Mennonite community and their volunteering, we would be in an absolute need of hiring full-time people, which we know there's lots of positions out there that we simply can't fill. So I certainly would be in favor for it, and would ask, so it seems like what you're asking is you need support from the board to have Senator Helming craft the bill, get all the details and such like that. So we don't have to get down in the details.
No, all it is the resolution supporting her writing a bill to give a tax exemption to the firefighters in Seneca County. That's all it is right now, to give her permission that it's home rule. That's
so. With that, Mr. Chairman, so with that, with that 7-week window, is that something new?
You'll bring it up in 2 weeks.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Yeah, we'll do it in finance.
All right, thank you. Yep, I'm good.
Get her going.
We'll look for information and numbers, Jeff.
Gotcha.
We'll be looking for information and numbers over the next 2 weeks to present back to the
Okay.
committee.
So that keeps us within the window for the senator. Yeah.
Went along with it, we can do a Rule 29.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Ship.
Thank you, Chairman. I have one more comeback. In talking about the firefighters under Rule 29 tonight, I have a motion to bring up asking New York State to reimburse Seneca County for the unpaid property taxes by the Cayuga Indian Nation. Now, the firefighters is going to be a hell of a lot smaller amount.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, we're looking at $500,000 a year that the county has to make the towns and the school districts whole for the non-payment of property taxes by the Cayugas. So look at the difference. I don't know what the bottom line number is, and I don't know if you folks have put it together what 10% would be based on this, but I'm going to guess and say it's a lot smaller number.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a lot smaller number. If you have a $100,000 property, which there's very few of them out there, that would reduce the assessed value down to $90,000, and that's what they'd be paying their taxes on. But if you look at and you got to remember, I said 200 firefighters. Not all 200 firefighters in Seneca County own property. There's a lot of them, like our Mennonite community, who they still live at home. They rent. There's a lot of them who don't own property. We're going to cut that down to maybe 150. So if you look at 150 people in Seneca County, that's pretty small. But this would be big for us. I cannot tell you how much of an attaboy, attagirl this would give us to know that we're worthy and going out into the community doing what we do. You have no idea what it means to us. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good job.
Okay, anybody else here to petition or what's it called? Approval, open privilege of the floor?
We're to the floor.
If not, okay. Move on to approval of minutes,
So moved.
February 8th meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next up, reports of standing committees. Mental health, Supervisor Partee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Mental Health Services Committee met on February 22nd. We have one resolution in front of the board tonight accepting a grant from the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. I am going to ask for an amendment to the resolution to change the dollar amount received. Other than that, that is all I have.
Okay, very good, Supervisor Partee. Next up, Supervisor Barnhart, Planning, Development, Agriculture, and Tourism.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Planning, Development, Agriculture, and Tourism Committee met on February 22nd. We have 3 resolutions in front of this board tonight. The first to advertise a public hearing for public comment on the IDA project for Seneca Dairy Systems. Another to appoint Harriet Haynes as the county's fair hearing officer. And a third to appoint Supervisor Jeffrey Trout to the Seneca County Cornell Cooperative Extension Board. That's it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Barnhart. Next up, Supervisor Boris, Public Health Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Health Services met February 22nd. 4 resolutions tonight under public health. One would be to accept $37,600 grant funding from the New York State Department of Health for the Lead Poisoning Prevention Program grant for the period of October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Number 2 would be to accept a $31,050 grant funding from the New York State Department of Health for the Immunization Action Program. That is for the period of April 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. Third, establish a fee schedule for services provided by Seneca County Health Department in relation to the Seneca County Watershed Protection Law. Septic system inspection program fees would be septic system contractor installer, $100 annually. Septic inspector certification, $300 for a 3-year initial certification. Septic inspector recertification, $150 for 3-year certification. And lastly, appoint 2 members to the Board of Health, Dr. Dale Fryer, emergency room physician, and Tiffany Folk, active in suicide prevention awareness. There are now going to be, if it's approval, 4 doctors on the Board of Health, which is going to be great.
Very good. Yep.
That is it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Supervisor Boris. Supervisor Reinhardt, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Safety met on February 22nd. There'll be 2 resolutions coming for the board tonight. The first one will be an extension of a grant out of the Public Defender's Office for the resolution for the caseload reduction grant for indigent legal services, extending it through June 30th of 2022. There is no local match. And the second will be the purchase of 20 body cameras for the Sheriff's Office at a cost of $27,163 this year, and then extending it over 5 years at a total of $135,818.
Very good. Thank you, Supervisor Reinhardt. Next up, Supervisor Farrar, Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Personnel Committee met on February 22nd after the Vacancy Committee met. The Vacancy Committee met and recommended moving the following positions. We have 8 resolutions in front of the board tonight. Discontinue the universal mass policy, create a new full-time psychiatric nurse position in mental health, create a new full-time position in personnel office for full-time human resources, reclassify a psych social worker, reclassify unemployment and training assistant, reclassify 3 clerk positions to 3 full-time staff resource assistants, reclass 2 typist positions to 2 full-time staff resource assistants, and reclassify 1 senior typist position to a full-time resource assistant. We also have refills that came out of committee that don't come in front of the whole board. It's 1 licensed practical nurse, a caseworker for DHS, 3 dispatcher positions, and 1 senior dispatch position in emergency management, and 1 weatherization aide.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Ferrara. Next up, Supervisor Boris, anything to report on water and sewer treatment, management, and operations?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we met on February 22nd. No resolutions coming tonight, but we talked about district users received their notices in the annual sewer meeting that was that night in their fourth quarter billing. Interim Sewer Administrator Mitch Rowe did not receive any calls or emails from any district user. Other than that, that's about it.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Borst. Indian Affairs, Supervisor Shipley.
Thank you, Chairman Heisen. The Seneca County Indian Affairs Committee met on the 2s, and we discussed the following issues. Details of a virtual meeting with the BIA are still pending, and we'll work that out shortly. A petition of cert, Brian Laudadio informed the board that the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear an appeal from the state of California, which they asked us for an amicus brief of support. It appears that the Supreme Court is unwilling to resolve sovereign tribal land issues regardless of land into trust status. The Cayuga-owned businesses were discussed next. The town of Seneca Falls continues having zoning issues with the Cayuga Nation-owned businesses. Now multiple Cayuga sales site, Lakeside, Grandma's Shed, and Pipe Keepers all have similar issues. Thirdly, we discussed New York State is failing to hold Seneca County residents harmless. The state is no longer covering legal counsel for Seneca County and our Indian issues, and they have stopped offset payments for Cayuga Indian unpaid property and school taxes, using the excuse that such payments were not included in the 2022 budget. Under a Rule 29 action tonight, I will ask the Board of Supervisors to consider a resolution of 3 issues where the Seneca and Mohawk Indian Nations continue non-payment to other counties recently resolved by the state. This support was requested by NISAC, Indian Affairs Committee. Also, I will ask this board for our own resolution requesting NISAC and Indian Affairs Committee support to request New York State to reinstate the offset payments to Seneca County for the Cayuga Nation unpaid property and school tax amounts, which under New York State law requires the county to hold the towns and school districts harmless. And just as a side issue, those payments were received from 2014 through 2018 and amounted to $3,130,000. Our actual payments that we had to reimburse during that time was little over 4.2 million. So as you can see, we're already $1.1 million in the hole, and our projected 2022 unpaid taxes is going to exceed $500,000. That's all I have. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Supervisor Shipley. Next up, Government Operations, Supervisor Jeff Trout.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Government Ops met on February 22nd. We have one issue to come before the board, and that is the reappointment of Tiffany Folk to the Commissioner of Elections for a term of 4 years from January of 23 to December 31st of 26, and that is the only issue.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Trout. Next up, Environmental Affairs, Supervisor Croneller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on February 22nd, and we got 2 proposals for a solid waste management plan, one from Barton LaJudas and one from the Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council. The committee recommended the Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council, and we'll vote on that tonight.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Croneller. Next up, Public Works, Supervisor Don Trout.
Public Works met on February 22nd. First issue, create sewer district for users along the New York State Route 414 corridor and authorize RFP not to exceed 20,000. Second, accept funding from Natural Resources Conservation Service in the amount of $256,200 for flood damage restoration, authorize local match of $85,000. And third is an update on Sampson's Veteran Cemetery. Is anybody else going to speak on this, or should I read this?
Mitch, you want to speak on it?
Subsequent to, and I was going to mention under my remarks, subsequent to the report at the committee yesterday, the bid solicitation went into the New York State contract reporter for the next phase of the works following the demolition of the former steam plant and incinerator building for above ground columbarium niches and related site work. So that went in yesterday with a March 28th, 2 p.m. bid opening, so it'll miss the committees on 3/22, but we will hopefully bring the apparent low bidder to the committee meetings in April.
Okay, that's all I got. Public Works.
Very good. Thank you, Supervisor Trout. Human Services, Supervisor Partee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Human Services Committee met on February 22nd. There are two resolutions in front of the board tonight. The first is for a contract with Glove House for child welfare-related services at $630,012. The other is for an agreement with Worldwide Travel Staffing Limited, located in Tonawanda, to furnish registered nurses to provide nursing and social assessments, $750 per assessment, for a sum not to exceed $30,000 annually. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Supervisor Partee. Okay, Finance Assessment and Insurance, Supervisor Reynolds.
Thank you, Chairman Heisen. We conducted some interviews for firms to do the county audit last week. We did them in person. We had two firms show up, and we've chosen one. We'd like to ask for a Rule 29 tonight to kind of make it official. We interviewed Dresser Malecki, and we interviewed Bonadillo as well. And I think we're going to go with Dresser and Malecki to do the audit. Stay tuned. We're going to do actually our Rule 29 later, and that's it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Reynolds. Report of special committees.
The only thing the IDA would like me to mention is they're going out for interviews soon for the 2 vacant positions. So other than that, not a lot of news to report from there.
Easy,
Easy.
non-controversial.
So far.
Any other special committees? Okay, very good. Chairman's remarks. I didn't have anything, but then I read the paper this morning about a sad day is going to be in the South End on Thursday when Willard officially closes its doors, forever gone. And my question is, hoping Dave was going to be here, has he gotten his water plant fixed yet or solved? You know that?
Last I heard, he's going to take it over here in the near future, at least operations. It's going to be quite some time before they're actually going to turn it over to him. There's still a lot of work to do, but in the interim, I think he's going to, if he hasn't already, start the operations under the town of Romulus fairly soon.
Okay. Next to Mitch, have you heard anything from the Department of Corrections of financing or funding for our sewer plants?
No, I have not.
They got out of town on Thursday without doing it. They promised us right away, right? Remember that day? Okay, on a better note, the facilities, we have a facilities special committee that we've had for about 3 years trying to figure out how to do our improvements around here. So time to put new people on there. Don's been on it. I'm going to keep Don on there. And I haven't asked him yet, but Paul Crono, would I like to see you on the facilities committee. And next, Joe Borst to go on the facilities committee and round it out with me. So we'll have 4 people from throughout the county to try to figure this message, all these little messes out.
I'd like to get you a black coat to match.
All right. What, Don?
I'd like to get him a coat to match.
Yeah.
Velvet.
Yep, velvet.
Velvet? I don't have velvet yet.
Okay, that's about all I have. Okay. Next up, county manager's remark.
I was going to talk about the bid on the cemetery, so took care of that. I don't have anything else for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. County attorney's remarks.
Nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you. Next up, communications.
Communications number 21 through 36 have been received and filed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Next up, resolutions and motions. First up is Human Services Supervisor Enslow, who isn't here. Who takes over for that? I guess Supervisor Partee.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Seneca County Division of Human Services to contract with Glove House, Inc. for child welfare-related services.
Support.
A second on that. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 15.
Seneca County Division of Human Services to enter into an agreement with Worldwide Travel Staffing Limited to provide nursing and social assessments.
Support.
Second there. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Supervisor Partee, for covering for Mr. Supervisor Henslow. What? What are you laughing? Yes, so. Next up, Public Works Supervisor Don Trout, number 16.
Supervisors authorize and direct the creation of sewer district for users along the New York State Route 414 corridor.
Support.
A second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 17.
Supervisors support funding award from United States Department of Agriculture for flood damage restoration on County Road 150.
Support.
Second there, okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Supervisor Trout. Next up, Environmental Affairs, number 18, Supervisor Cronin letter.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Supervisors award consulting agreement for development of solid waste management plan for Seneca County.
Support.
Got a second there, okay. Any discussion?
The numbers were Barton LaJudas bid $86,900, and the Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council bid $70,433. So I'm recommending we go with the lower number. We're not reinventing the wheel.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There are no nays, motion carried. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
Conwood. Okay, number 19, Supervisor Jeffrey Trout.
Yep.
Government Operations.
Yep. I motion to reappoint Tiffany Folk to the Office of Commissioner of Elections for a term of 4 years, starting on January 23 through December 31st of 26.
Support.
A second there. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next up is Supervisor Ferrara. Number 20.
Supervisors affirm elimination of Seneca County universal mass policy.
Support.
Make me look bad like I didn't have the authority to do it. But we did it. That's good.
I gave you the authority.
That's right, you did.
Yep.
Okay, we got a second on that? Yep.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Official. Okay, number 21.
Board approves the creation and filling of one full-time psychiatric nurse with the mental health department.
Second.
Support.
Seconds there, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 22.
Board of Supervisors approves the reclassification of one full-time mental health clinical therapist.
Second.
Second there, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 23.
Board of Supervisors approves the reclassification of one full-time employment and training counselor in the Department of Human Services.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Board of Supervisors approves the reclassification of 6 full-time staff resource assistants.
Second.
Second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Number 25.
Board of Supervisors approves the creation and filling of one full-time human resource assistant in Personnel Department.
Support.
Second,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend this resolution. I'd like this to amend this where in the 4th paragraph, whereas amended to state that a budget amendment will be required to provide for $19,357 in salary and related fringe benefits. And I'd like to add a second resolution, and be it resolved to provide the funding will be provided for the from the contingency budget and, the contingency fund, and that the county manager is authorized and directed to undertake accounting and budget amendments required consistent with the intent of this resolution.
Support.
Boy, that's a
Thank you.
lot of words there. Okay. And you got a motion, a second, okay, all those in favor of?
Is there a discussion, Mr. Chairman?
What's that?
Voting on the amendment or the bill?
We're voting on the amendment.
Voting on the amendment.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now you can approve the resolution as amended.
Board of Supervisors approves the creation and filling of one full-time human resource assistant in personnel department as amended to read, whereas amended to state that a budget amendment will be required to provide for $19,357 in salary and related benefits, and secondly, resolved to provide that funding will be provided from the contingency fund, and that the county manager is authorized and directed to undertake accounting and budget required.
You don't need to read all that, but I didn't want to stop.
Okay.
Okay. For all those in favor now on the amended, the resolution as amended, say aye.
Discussion.
I think Supervisor Reinhardt wanted to discuss.
Are we in the discussion portion of this resolution now?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to be brief. I've talked on this several times. I don't want to go through the whole thing again. I just think now is the wrong time for this position. I'm not questioning the personnel officer. I think if she wants to do this, then the proper time is at budget time to create that position and put it through budget and do it that way. We have open contracts now. We're trying to get this pay up for everybody. I think it's not necessary. The personnel department has already doubled in size since 2011. I'm voting no on this proposition tonight, and I encourage others to also. Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yeah, just a comment, because I don't, Supervisor Reinhardt and I had a conversation, and he made some really good points and asked some good questions. I have similar concerns, except that having had a conversation with personnel and getting some additional answers, I don't have those same concerns now. I feel that it is necessary based upon a sort of an analysis of the employees that are there and actually what they're doing. Plus, and I don't want to speak for Laura, but she certainly gave me an opportunity to see where not everyone in personnel is necessarily doing personnel work. And I think in addition, and this is somewhat related, but I think I can say this, Mike, we had a conversation, a Zoom conversation today with Mr. Romer, and I think I'm feeling very positive about a way forward for our other employees in terms of what we can do in terms of producing fair contracts and competitive compensation. I mean, I don't control the money, but I think there's, I don't know, I felt very good about it. And that I think in Mr. Romer's recommendations really rang through in terms of what we need to do to address my concerns that you and I both share. So.
Okay.
And I'd like to add, Mr. Chairman, that, this has been discussed at the Vacancy Committee. I had the full support of the Vacancy Committee. It came into obviously the Personnel Committee. It didn't come out 100% out of the personnel. As Supervisor Reinhardt has said, he's not in favor of it, which I completely understand. I do have a lot of faith in our department people. I think Laura did her due diligence. I think she, once she's had a chance to be in the position that she's in and check out the lay of the land and try to run the department as most efficiently as she can, I think this makes sense. And I only hope that all of our other department people, and I'm sure they do, look at their departments and see how best to run their departments. I know past directors have come to us in the last year and a half with reshuffling their personnel and trying to make their department more efficient. So I think as elected supervisors, we can't ask for anything more from our people.
Okay, any more questions?
And go ahead, I'm sorry.
A couple years ago, before the previous resource officer was in there, wasn't there an assistant or a deputy in that department of some sort, or did we just have discussions about creating one? Because as far as succession of some of these personnel, the people at the top, there should be somebody to take over should something happen to them. So creating full-time assistants for some of these department heads might not be a terrible policy, but instead of being just a full-time human resource assistant, is there a deputy there now underneath that person or not? Okay. So this is another full-time position in that department outside of that role?
Right.
Okay.
And to be clear, I have every faith in Laura. It isn't about that. I just think this is the wrong time to do it. I think it should be done through the budget process. And if it clears there, if the board approved it through the budget process for the next year, I would be in full support of it at that point.
Any more questions?
My only concern is this would be creating a position that would start off making more money than some of the people who've been here a long time. So that bothers me a little bit.
Okay, any more discussion?
Different people have different job titles, so different qualifications, you know, so that happens frequently in municipal government. If this was September and the budget process was in full swing, this is March. So I think to make that department as efficient as they possibly can, we're still in the first quarter of the year. So I encourage everyone to support this if they will.
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion?
I would just add, as a specific example, as someone who sits as both a county supervisor but also a town supervisor, I can tell you that we have had a number of vacancies. It's been quite a challenge to get them filled. Thanks for the county being a training ground, appreciate that. But I will say that we could not do what we do as efficiently as we do without the personnel department. And even them, with those folks working very diligently and keeping in contact, and they probably hated to see my emails or phone come up because I was always contacting them trying to get our positions filled, but they were fantastic. And if they can do that more efficiently through the process that Laura's outlined in terms of getting this stuff online so I don't have to call them, I think that's great. I think, and as soon as we can do that, the better.
I want to say one more thing, Mr. Chairman. Margaret, get your weighted vote count out, okay?
I definitely have it.
Okay, guess we're done discussing. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Boy,
I do have to ask who seconded the motion, Mr. Farrar.
That'd be a really good question. I think
Supervisor
Mr. Barnhart did.
okay.
The gentleman from Lodi.
Mr. Ferrari, you got 3 against you before you even start voting.
I mean, that's natural though, right?
Okay,
And we got,
Supervisor Ferrara,
yes.
Supervisor Barnhart,
Aye.
Supervisor Reynolds,
Yes.
Supervisor Jeffrey Trout,
Yes.
Supervisor Forst,
Nay.
Supervisor Cronometer,
No.
Supervisor Reinhardt,
No.
Supervisor Partee,
Aye.
Supervisor Heisen,
yeah, aye.
Supervisor Don Trout,
No.
and Supervisor Shipley.
No.
Do you want me to say it, or do you want to?
You can say it. That way, those are your numbers then.
The results resulted in 306 ayes, so the motion fails. 302 nays and 142 absent. And you needed 376 ayes to pass.
Okay, motion is defeated. Okay. You needed almost 70 more to get there. Needed 70 more to get there. Okay. I guess you're all finished, Supervisor Ferrara. Thank you. Took up a lot of time, but that's well-deserved time. Thank you. Supervisor Reinhardt, Public Safety, number 26.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Supervisors authorize the extension of contract for upstate quality improvement and caseload reduction grant.
Support.
Second there. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 27.
Supervisors authorize purchase of 20 Exxon body cameras for the sheriff's office.
Support.
Second there. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Supervisor Reinhardt. Next up, Supervisor Boris, Public Health Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. County manager authorized and directed to sign a contract with the New York State Department of Health for the Lead Poisoning Prevention Program grant and amend the 2022 Public Health Department budget.
Support.
Second there. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 29.
Board of Supervisors amends fee schedule for services provided by the Seneca County Health Department in relation to the Seneca County Watershed Protection Law.
Support.
Okay, second there, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 30.
County manager authorized and directed to sign a contract with the New York State Department of Health for the Immunization Action Grant and amend the 2022 Seneca County budget.
Support.
Second there, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 31.
Board of Supervisors appoints Dale Fryer and Tiffany Folk to the Seneca County Board of Health.
Second.
Second, okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Supervisor Boris.
Thank you.
Next up, Planning, Development, Agriculture, and Tourism, number 32 for Supervisor Barnhart.
Board of Supervisors directs public hearing on Community Development Block Grant Program for Seneca Dairy Systems LLC.
Support.
Second on that, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 33.
Resolution to reappoint Harriet A. Haynes as Seneca County Fair Housing Officer.
Support.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 34.
Appointment of Board of Supervisors representative to the Seneca County Cornell Cooperative Extension Board.
Support.
You gonna give his name?
Now this appoints Jeffrey Trout to the Cornell Cooperative Extension Board.
Okay. Very good. Got a second on that? Any
Support.
discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Already gone to 3 meetings.
Next up, Mental Health Services, number 35. Supervisor Partee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board of Supervisors authorizes acceptance of a $50,000 grant from the New York State Office of Children and Family Services to support domestic violence services and amend the 2022 Seneca County budget.
Support.
Second on that?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make an amendment, or make a motion to make an amendment
Yes.
and change the dollar amount of this grant to $53,875.
Support.
Okay, got a second on that? Any discussion on the amendment? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Amendment carries. Now we can go to the original resolution as amended. We don't need to have it all reread. Okay, any discussion now? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Very good, thank you. Kyle, did I forget to thank you for your resolutions?
No, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I was worried. Unfinished business. Got any of that? No unfinished business. About new business? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a Rule 29 resolution.
We haven't gotten that far. We're doing those afterwards. Are we doing the Rule 29 altogether?
I was gonna get to that when you interrupted me. They're under new business, no new business, so we're gonna do Rule 29.
I assume that was
I'd like
new
to say,
business.
do them all.
I got a way to do the Rule 29 now, so we don't have to vote on it 4 times if we bring up 4 things.
Good move.
Very nice.
So who's gonna do that resolution? You still, Mr. Shipley?
Got it.
You know, whatever blows up your dress.
I'll let Don,
I'd like to offer Rule 29 to cover all resolutions that would come up underneath that subject matter for the evening.
I'll let you second that.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now into Rules 29. Next one I got is new business is 37A, Supervisor Shipley.
Thank you, Chairman Heisen. And I also want to thank the county attorney for his preparation time to get these Rule 29s put together. The first one is 37A in your scorecard. Seneca County Board of Supervisors support resolutions approved by NISAC, Native American Affairs and Gaming Standing Committee.
Support.
A second there. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
The second one is 37B. Resolution calls on the state of New York to immediately make all municipalities whole that have been impacted by the loss of property tax revenue from sovereign Native American lands.
Support.
Second on there.
I think didn't we pass them all under the same resolution?
No, you gotta do each resolution.
I just asked, because
We called it 37B, but the next resolution is 37B, but we won't hold that against you.
Whatever you guys say.
all right,
I called it 37B, so
Thank you.
I called this 37B.
it's not though. yeah.
37A, paragraph
So
4.
37B is one for Supervisor Reynolds.
Right.
Well, it's, okay.
You wanna-
Well, it's a different
37BB.
resolution than the other one.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Supervisor Shipley. Next up, Supervisor Reynolds.
Isn't there a third?
Thank you, Chairman Heisen. I have a couple here. The first one I have is authorized boundary line agreement for county property adjacent to 25 Wycliffe Road, Waterloo, New York, being Seneca County tax parcel number 08-2-14.
Support.
Second by Supervisor Trout. I guess, County Attorney, could you explain this a little bit to the full board?
Yes, sir. I was contacted by the property owner's attorney, Mr. Venuti from Geneva. They're attempting to sell the property. This is on the north side of Wycliffe Road, and the northern boundary is the strip of the railroad between Inslee and they're out here in front of the county building. The railroad company that owned that gave or sold a part of the right-of-way to Seneca County. One of the owners, or the owner of the property, even before he owned it, somebody put a fence up there, which is on his property, well inside of it. But if you look at it, it could be perceived that the county put the fence up or that they own it. They're not making any claim to it, but the title company that has to write the title insurance for the sale wants a boundary line agreement that says, yes, the deeded boundary is in fact the boundary line. It's just something that we need to do. We're not giving up anything. We're just simply saying, yes, that's the boundary to our property. It's a classic real estate. It's very ticky, and you got to take care of these things.
Question for the County Attorney? No more discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now, you want to stay going on to 37D, Mike?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
I need acceptance of the proposal for audits for the financial records for Seneca County. Somebody to audit this financial records for Seneca County. It would be Malecki and Drescher. Haley's going to speak a little bit, maybe?
Sure, if there's any questions, I just want to clarify that we did the interviews as requested. We met with Luke Malecki and his colleague Carl Widmer. Both firms interviewed very well. The committee had decided that Malecki would offer us some other best practices, and it's also part of our due diligence to look at changing auditing firms from time to time, especially if you've had an auditing firm for a long period of time. So the committee, which included County Manager Rowe, Supervisor Reynolds, Supervisor Farrar, and Supervisor Shipley and myself, have proposed to offer Malecki and Drescher as our next auditing firm for 1 year.
With an option to go more years if we feel happy, I guess, so, yeah.
Right.
At the same price?
What's that? No, they're cheaper.
They're $13,000 cheaper.
I know, but next year, it's still the same.
Oh, doesn't it escalate up a little bit? Not a little bit, it goes up higher.
It does.
Everybody's did.
Right.
Yeah, there's an escalation clause in there.
It would go up $1,444 in the next year.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There are no nays. Motion carried. Very good. Thank you, Supervisor Reynolds. Now we'll go back to 37C. Supervisor Cronewater, you started this all off.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also like to thank,
Resolution, and he jumped right on it last time.
I know, I want to thank our county manager and our county attorney for writing this up. If the county attorney had anything to do with it, but
I just looked at the end product, Mr. President.
thank you very much, Mitch. This is, I had a request for this, and Cayuga County is flying the Ukrainian flag over their buildings right now. But this is Seneca County Board of Supervisors supports the country and people of Ukraine. Whereas on February 24th, 2022, Russian forces launched an unprovoked invasion of the peaceful and independent country of Ukraine. And whereas it is the right of all countries to decide their future, foreign policy and security arrangements free from outside interference or coercion. And whereas Russian forces have targeted civilians and have committed war crimes and crimes against humanity. And whereas the Board of Supervisors of Seneca County are shocked and saddened by the decision of the federal government of the Russian Federation to send military forces into Ukraine. And whereas this resolution was brought before the Board of Supervisors pursuant to Rule 29, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Seneca County supports the country and people of Ukraine, and be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Seneca County urges the immediate ceasefire and withdrawal of Russian forces from Ukraine territory, and be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Seneca County unequivocally supports Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Seneca County supports the continued resistance by the Ukrainian people as long as the Russian Federation continues to violate Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Second.
Got a lot of seconds on that, I assume. Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer an amendment. I'd like to add a resolve clause that says, resolve that the Seneca County Board of Supervisors welcomes all Ukrainian immigrants who wish to settle in Seneca County, New York State, and the United States of America.
You got an amendment?
Second, or, yeah.
Who seconded it?
Mike
Mike.
already did.
Mike, okay. Okay, any discussion on the amendment? Okay. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we'll vote on the resolution as amended. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Very good. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
Conrad.
Yep. Thank you. Paul.
Well done, Paul, well
Can I
done.
see your amendment?
You take it.
Anything else going on?
Sorry about the handwriting.
Motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You can take
Opposed?
it if you want.
Carried.
Oh, my